the big question, the first question I'm going to throw out there, why did Grenada reject the bill? Pele, you in Grenada right now. Why do you think that Grenada rejected the CCJ?
Well, one of the thing that keep coming up all the time was that most folks said they don't understand. They didn't understand the bill.
Right.
They don't know what they are voting for, and hence they would not vote. That's what most persons were saying. Even I was at the market square this morning after I came out from voting, and most people were saying that. I said, look, I come out from voting. Why don't you go and vote? And they said, what am I going to vote for? I don't understand what I'm voting about, so I would not go. There's the other folks are saying that the arguments for moving was not properly presented. It denigrated into party politics, and then some people was even thinking that there might be a vote along party lines. People might vote yes because they support this party, and people might vote no because they support that party. But definitely it was not properly presented. One thing of note is that the total votes is just a little bit more than in the 2016 referendum. And from a registration of 80,000 voters this year compared to 71,000 in 2016, an increase of about 9,000, and the increase is just about, total votes is just at least just about 1,000. So people, they didn't buy into it. It wasn't sold properly to them, and they just decided, well, look, I'm not getting involved in this. There is situation about it's handled by lawyers. We can't trust lawyers. One man told me that in the market this morning. He said, look, Pele Dabo, I'm not going to vote. His lawyers doing this thing. And lawyers have to fix a lot of things before they come to me to tell me to vote to change our apex court.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are of the opinion that the population just wasn't ready. Soon after a general election, the people of Grenada was just not ready. Gerry, what's your take on it? Why do you think that the referendum failed today?
Junior, a combination of reasons. Number one, I am very much for our participation in the CCJ, resorting to the appellate code of the CCJ. Of course, we already have the original jurisdiction on certain areas, which is fine with everyone. No one is complaining about that.
Right.
And for historical reasons, in terms of pride and independence, I think it's a good thing. However, it's a case of putting the cart before the donkey. You know, I had a piece that I socialized on social media regarding that. I think there were certain preliminary things that folks were complaining about that ought to have been done. For example, with respect to the voting process itself, which the OAS as well as and other observers pointed out we had to fix, and which the opposition in Grenada also complained about, because the very process that we are going to use to get a result on this referendum is flawed, and it has issues, and it's compromised, and there are things that we had to fix in it, and the administration of the day did nothing. They cast a deaf ear and a blind eye to the complaints about fixing the process. So a lot of folks made up their mind, look, if they're not going to fix the process that's going to give us a result in the referendum, why participate? Then there were also those who were saying, why don't we have claims regarding the results of an election? Why can't we take it to the CCJ? Why is the government not including that there? Why are they taking an exception to that? They're saying to the people, Grenadian people, that an advantage of having the CCJ is that you can get quick results on certain issues. And they mentioned in Barbados recently in the election, they had some issues over results. They brought it before the CCJ, and in a matter of a few days, it was resolved. But in Grenada, we don't have access, we don't have that opportunity, because the government would not allow claims regarding the results of election to be heard by that court. So there were
sorry, Mr. Hopkin.
Right.
Sorry, can I come here? The situation that what Barbados brought to the CCJ was for people who have been living in Barbados, quote unquote, non-nationals of Barbados, non-Bajans, who figured that they had a right to vote because they've been living there for so many years. It was not the results of the election. But just clear that up.
It had to do. It would affect the results. I mean,
but yes, obviously, I mean, if you vote, but that was not the case that was brought forward. The case, I think there was one Grenadian young lady involved, and I think a Guyanese. And the brought the case say, look, we've been contributing to Barbados for so many years, and we need to go on the voters list so that we could vote. And one of the reasons why it went in so quickly, it went about 2 or 3 days before they went to the polls.
But what I'm saying is, you know, lawyers have a way of applying rules to facts and extending it. I mean, some smart lawyers somewhere could find a way to say, if we cannot bring those claims, then we cannot hear this before the CJJ. I mean, it's just that you leave a door open for that. There should be all of those issues we should be able to bring before the CCJ going forward. I think what has to happen now is that we have to take a step back. If this administration will see us through with this, they would have to take a step back, listen to what CARICOM said, listen to what the OAS observers said, listen to what the Grenadian people and their opposition is saying, and sit down and really get to work in coming up with a path that people would accept. And validate.
Let me hear from. Hold on 1 second, guys.
I think the majority of people want to have the CCJ. I personally want it, and it's just simply a matter of time.
Mr. Hopkins, I think this may have been a missed opportunity then for Grenada, because
Mr. Thomas, pull yourself back a little bit. You're very close to your camera. All right, that's better.
Because what happened is the powers that be, because in Antigua it's the same thing, and the rules were made why the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal was the final appeals court for election cases. So because it is so close, so that it could be dealt with expeditiously, because you did not want a case to go to the Privy Council, where it would take years and then a judgment hand down while a sitting government was in power in 3 years, 4 years, and then you have a Privy Council ruling saying that this seat is null and void, that seat is null and void, and disrupt the flow of governance.
Immediate result.
So they say only the Eastern Caribbean Court. But now that you have your own apex court in the Caribbean, where within a matter of an hour you can file a case and it can be heard, like in the case of Barbados, and you can demand the rules. This is a missed opportunity for Grenada, where you could have such ruling now that you can remove the final court in election cases at the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeals and say, we want this to go on to the CCJ down in Trinidad, because it's affordable. It is within, it's a matter of an 38 minutes flight.
There you go.
To Trinidad.
Well, let me on the question of affordable, but could a normal person afford the CCJ or the Privy Council for that matter? A lot of people are at the assumption that if, let's say, I have an altercation with someone and we have a misunderstanding and we didn't get through with this particular court, then we take it straight to the CCJ. But really and truly, that's not the case. He has to go through different appellate court before he gets to the CCJ. So the question is, could a regular Caribbean person, normal person, afford to take their court to the CCJ?
But a normal person could, yes, because let's be honest, and this is why some people hit lawyers, but I believe this is why a lot of lawyers may be on board for the CCJ, because a lot of judges make mistakes in cases.
That's right.
But they are well aware that the appellant cannot afford to challenge them or challenge their judgment, and so they know that their judgment will never be challenged, because the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeals, or whatever court of appeals that is in the Caribbean in your jurisdiction, is the furthest you can go. And some folks may not even go that far, because when you do appeal, you're looking for errors in law. And when you find errors in law, that is what you are challenging, that the judge made an error. And hence, after you have done that, now, when you have done that and you have gone to the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal, and they rule against you, now is to go to the Privy Council.
That's right.
Now the question is the filing fees. And depending on which day you're going to file,
Yeah.
and which year your case is going to be called, and the exchange rate with the pound and the Eastern Caribbean dollar, you're talking about affordability. And you have to bear the cost of your lawyer going to England to argue the case, hotel rates, tickets, etc., etc. The affordability is out of the ordinary guy from the little village back there who basically burn coal to make a living.
Oswald, stick up in. One of the opponents of our bill said that it costs just about the same amount to take a case to the Privy Council as to the CCJ. She said that to file a case to the CCJ, you have to pay $15,000. That's to file. She said for the Privy Council is £500, which is $1,725. She said that the difference in the $15,000 and the £500 could pay airfares and certain amount of hotel for the lawyers. But also she went on to say the fees for the lawyers, whether it's the CCJ or the Privy Council, is just about the same. It is the lawyers collecting the big fees. You need to, she said it would cost you at the CCJ $56,000 to take a matter to the CCJ. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not saying that I'm in agreement. She said that, and she said that if you use 2 QCs, it may even cost you more. And the same fee, what a lawyer would charge you for a case to the Privy Council and a case to the CCJ is about the same thing. That argument came over and over and over. Of course, it was debunked by the proponents of the CCJ bill. But they were saying, look, go to the CCJ website and you would see that. And with all the debunking of the bill, no one ever can say, well, okay, yes, look, we went to the CCJ website and she's saying it costing $56,000 and we went there and it's costing less than that. Nobody will say that. So I don't think cost is too much of a factor. If you really want to seek justice, you start at the magistrate court, you pay your lawyer. Then he appeal for you, you pay him more. Then you go to the OECS court, of which you hear very little about. You pay more and you're still not satisfied. It's up to you to make the decision. Well, I have the money, I have the bread. Let me go to the CCJ or let me go to the Privy Council. So I don't think cost was too much of a factor. Unless somebody will really come up and show it differently.
Right.
Cost was not too much of a factor.
Yeah, I'm telling you, a lot of people are the opinion that if they have an altercation with their neighbor, they could just take their neighbor straight to the CCJ for better justice.
That's it, Junior.
And I'm getting that opinion of the promotion that was sent out. People are thinking that it would just make it easier for them, a normal man on the road. But who sitting right now in Grenada could fork out $45,000 to seek justice?
It's only 1% of Antigua population can afford to go to the Privy Council.
Junior, since independence, 44 years or so ago, albeit there was a 12-year hiatus where we weren't onto the Privy Council. 15 cases from Grenada went to the Privy Council. 8 of them was governmental, from the government. There were a couple murder cases where the folks got pro bono. They went to the Privy Council pro bono. Dominica has been to the CCJ, and as far as I learned, Dominica has only filed one case to the appellate jurisdiction. They only filed one case to the appellate jurisdiction of the CCJ.
They just got there.
Yeah.
Huh?
They very recently joined the CCJ. Very recently.
Yeah, but
Belize and Barbados was there longer.
And I don't think Belize and Barbados, well, I don't have the figure, but from what I've been hearing, I wouldn't quote that, they didn't have, so far, they have not had many appeals to the CCJ. And even Guyana, I think Guyana had just about one.
Yeah, but the fact, I don't think we should be guided by the number of cases that have been filed with an appellate court to explain to justify whether or not we should or shouldn't have it. I think we know we need an appellate court, the highest level in terms of
No. I'm not justifying,
I think the issue here is generally cost, and regardless of how you take it, I think we would agree that it is a bit more expensive to go to the Privy Council. I mean, even if you go to Trinidad and the cost, you have to pay a hotel there. The cost would be less than it is in England to get
about 50 US a night.
But guys, in 2017,
Pele, hold on. Just about every other Grenadian have a relative in Trinidad. If you go to Trinidad to the CCJ, to the final court of appeals there, certainly you may not be staying at a hotel. You most likely will be staying at a relative. That may not be the case in England. So I think that cost, Pele is right. Cost is not the biggest hindrance to it, or to make a difference as to why we should go with the CCJ. I think the other issues that are more relevant and more significant, and such as the whole idea of independence. We've been talking about that. I mean, does it really matter as much, or are there more other issues that we can resolve amending our constitution that will take us closer to independence than having the CCJ as the final court?